Hello and good afternoon on this lovely rainy afternoon in September. And welcome to Noonday Meditation and Contemplative Prayer Power Hour. My name is Martin Coward, and I lead this Noonday Meditation and Contemplative Prayer Power Hour every day at noon, Eastern Daylight Time, Monday through Saturday. The purpose, the intention is a place, a refuge we can all come to love and support each other through this current crisis. Make no mistake about it, we are living through some very unusual times in the history of human evolution, of humankind. And we need each other. I need you, and we need a refuge. We need a place to go. We're most of us are practicing some kind of physical isolation, so we can protect ourselves and our loved ones in the world from getting contaminated by the virus, and we appreciate that. And so that isolation can be disturbing. So my intention here is just to provide a place for us to come together and listen to some spiritual truth and look for spiritual energy to help us through this, to guide us through this. I'm a prosperity coach, and I teach people how to solve their financial problems and create wealth following spiritual principles of truth and wisdom that come from spiritual teachings, because they work. And I am convinced that as always through time, what will get us through is a deeper sense of faith in that we're so much bigger than what we seem to be, that we are all spiritual beings. That's what we are. As Eckhart Tolle says, human beings are many humans and one being. So we come together at noon every day, Monday through Saturday, to experience our connection through being present to ourselves, to the world, and to each other. So I'm excited about that. And there's my dear friend, Mindy. Mindy, how are you on this rainy day in West Orange, New Jersey? It's sort of nice sitting on my porch out here with the drizzling rain coming down. It's a pleasant temperature. It's like in the 70s, I think. And it feels nice to be out here. So how are things in Vermont? I think that's where you are. And as I like to say, if you're joining us today, please just type into the chat and let me know you're here. Hi, Martin. More joy means more living. Yes, more joy. And how do we have more joy? We get present to the moment. Our ego-thinking minds will find all sorts of ways to go back on the past or pull us into drama, and we get so pulled into those stories that we miss life. We're missing our lives. We're missing the moment. And it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous in Vermont today. Wow. Wow. I think it's gorgeous here too. I kind of like the rain. Whatever we get is what's here. I mean, as a contemplative Christian mystic, we learn to love and accept what arises as it arises. So if we get rain today, then wonderful. If we get sunshine, wonderful. It's all good. It's all here to love and support us. The universe has our back, let's say. And it doesn't often feel that way with all that's going on in the world right now. It can feel a little scary. And we don't want to get ourselves pulled into that fear. And we're going to talk today about 3 habits we can all cultivate to create more, to turn our lives into more of a sanctuary, to turn our day-to-day lives, wherever we are. We don't have to go off in some monastery or some cave to create a sanctuary. We can create a sanctuary right where we are. And I think it's such an important opportunity for all of us is creating your sanctuary. And we're going to talk about 3 habits that we can all appreciate and cultivate. We do it here every day. And I know that for myself, the more I cultivate these habits, the more love, joy, and prosperity I seem to live in. I don't yawn at all until I get on live, and then all of a sudden I've got to yawn. It's so crazy. Oh, that's exciting. Jimmy Carter's 96th birthday on Thursday. That's it. Thanks for letting us know. That's a wonderful thing to be celebrating. Yeah, I grew up not too far from him. And one of my most fond memories in the South, which is as an adult, was I traveled down there. My mother was still living, and her friend Mary Falk was there. And Jimmy Carter, I don't know if he still does it, but he used to teach a Sunday school class at a little brick church over in Plains, Georgia, near Americus, where they live. He and his wife lived. And he would teach a Sunday school class, and it was a Sunday school. It was a teaching class, and it would be always full of people. And my mother, they wanted to go see it, so I drove them over there. I had no idea what I was going to get involved in. I didn't know that much about Jimmy Carter. I knew a little bit about him. I knew he was a person who walked the talk, and I was excited about going to see him. And it was interesting to me because he was talking about loving your neighbor. And it was full of pretty much Southern white Christian people. And it was interesting to watch them, because he was talking about, it didn't mean to love people who look and talk like you. It means to love people who you don't understand and look a lot different than you. And it was interesting to see people hearing the truth from him and respecting it, and being probably a little uncomfortable with it. Because people down in the South where I come from are not always, there's a larger, more dominant culture that people tend to stick to what people who look and act like they do. So it was an interesting visit. But he is a brilliant peacemaker in the world, and I'm glad to know he's going to be 96 on this Thursday, and I'm excited about his birthday. So thank you for sharing that with us today, Mindy. So I'm going to be talking about, I created this course called, it's a 2-part webinar. It's called Practicing the Art of Being Present, Your Key to Living a Life of Love, Joy, and Prosperity. The wildest thing happened as I put this course together over the summer. I began to practice it, and the more I practiced it, the more present I was. And I was like, damn, I'm living pretty much present to the divine most of the time. And it's a very exciting way to live. And I realized, I do live a life of love, joy, and prosperity right here in the middle of this crisis. And I bring this because I want to share it with you. That's the point. It's really bringing presence into the moment, and it can get us through anything. It's an experience of life more than anything else. And we live as mystics. We begin to live into the mystery. It's more than a belief system or educational system. It's really a way of living that's much more exciting and fruitful and fulfilling than one living in fear and desperation. You're not going to get your way, So creating your sanctuary. Why would you want to create a sanctuary? What in the world is the value of a sanctuary anyway? And it's just a refuge. It's a place to get away from all the drama in the world. And the last few days, yesterday I spoke a little bit about, and I'll briefly go through them, is to avoid the drama triangle trap. We all are going to get pulled into drama, but we don't want to get trapped into it. So the idea here is to create a sanctuary so we don't get pulled into drama. Let's see what. Yes, I went down to it a few years ago. Trump had just been sworn in. What a lie! So much respect for him. He acknowledged he did not yet respect for the office. Yeah, I would imagine visiting with him after Trump was sworn in was probably a very, very interesting time to be visiting his Sunday school class, and I'm glad you got to attend it. He's a real champion for what we talk about here about spiritual solutions to solving problems. And he's an example of that. And he is quite, the interesting thing about it is you probably, if you didn't, let me know, but you probably attended a sort of an ugly little brick building out in the middle of outside of town. He used to be, before he was president, he was the member of the Baptist Church in Downtown Americas, but because of their policy about allowing African Americans to attend their church, he quit going and started going to this little church out in the country, because he wasn't going to go to a place that didn't allow black people. That was kind of not part of his thinking or his value system. So he started going to this not particularly attractive church, a little brick church out in the middle of, with a couple of windows. It's kind of strange, very very small. But yeah, I'm glad you got that. Was pretty good. That's very good. So the purpose of is not to, you can't avoid the drama triangle. We're going to get pulled into the drama, but the avoid is to not get in the trap of it. That's why we create a sanctuary, and I won't go too much. And there are three things I discussed yesterday. One is don't watch any news of any kind. One is keep social media to a minimum. And the third one is avoid conversations that pull you into drama that you have no control over. If you want more about that, the webinar is free, and you can go to the Financial Mystic Sanctuary Facebook page, and you can watch it in the unit section. But today we're going to talk about 3 things you can do that I encourage you to do to replace those things and only invite activities into your life, into your sanctuary, that make you feel good and at peace. If something doesn't feel good, if I'm watching television and I'm hearing some fear-driven story that Trump's not going to leave the presidency and he's going to create all kind of disruption, that doesn't make me feel good. I feel angry. I get one of those things the television says. So that's why I don't watch TV, because I don't want to feel bad. I want to feel at peace. So I'd rather be in the kitchen at the time, listening to music and cooking dinner and just enjoying the tomatoes and the lettuce and life. And I just don't want my interior to be filled with things. So I do things that I enjoy doing. I go spend time with friends, and I participate in all sorts of activities even on Zoom that make me feel good. I participate in communities that make me feel good and at peace. And this is one of them. I mean, I do this. This is an activity that I do that makes me feel good and at peace. So if people don't know what quite to do, then they can come here. That's why we have it. So come here so invite activities in your sanctuary that make you feel good and at peace, and avoid things that make you feel bad and want to attack people. And another one is, you become more and more awakened to your own spiritual nature. You're going to find through the law of attraction, other people, lots of other people, millions of other people on the planet who are waking up to their spiritual, to their true self, to their authentic self, and have got a renewed interest in spiritual matters. So you can be part of that. You can be part of that movement and begin to expand and invite others into your life who may be curious about spiritual matters. And spiritual, I was talking about the other day, spiritual, the word spiritual came from the idea of the wind. It was the way, before we could really understand that there's energy in the world that we can't see. Like, for instance, the energy of radio waves. We didn't know what radio waves were. We just didn't know, but we could see the spirit in the leaves and the trees and everything. Excuse me. So that they called it spirit. They called it They didn't know why the leaves were moving, but they could feel the wind, and they called it spirit, and that was energy, and rightly so. So it's just energy. Spend time with those who have in positive, creative energy. Sometimes people are afraid of spiritual because it's been a god has been misused. So just other people who are interested in creative energy, positive, creative energy. That's what we want, right? So spend time with others who have a shared interest in spiritual matters. And then another one is to avoid excessive use of alcohol and drugs. There are plenty of people, I would say most people, who drink alcohol and use recreational drugs do it without any problem, and they don't depend on it for anything. But there are some that do, and my suggestion is if you're uncertain and if you are using drugs or alcohol, and certainly could be, especially during COVID-19, it can be very, very easy for people to feel lonely and to feel a victim of this. And to get some relief, they might turn to drugs and alcohol. But if you're turning to drugs and alcohol for relief, that's only temporary, and it's just going to get worse. So if you want to turn your life into a sanctuary, replace those excessive use of drugs and alcohol with, again, things that you enjoy that make you feel good. They might make you feel good for a moment, but they're going to make you feel worse the next day. And I'm not making a judgment about anybody. If you're not sure, you can always go to Alcoholics Anonymous for 90 days and see. You'll find out. If you're not an alcoholic, you'll quit going. And if you are, you'll have a refuge of people who have a shared interest in helping you. So there's no shame or ridicule or anything about this. It's just an observation that you should be aware of, that when you're creating your sanctuary, how do you treat drugs and alcohol? And my favorite is, if you begin to turn your life, if you want to live a life of prosperity, a life of abundance, practice generosity and make generosity and gratitude a fun new habit. The art of living, the name of my theme for 2021 is reimagining generosity. Reimagining generosity in the world, in our social economic systems. How can we make generosity and gratitude a fun new habit, a way of being in the world? I can say that as we do, our lives become more abundant because our hearts are open and we're grateful for what we have instead of complaining about what we don't have. The opposite of complaining is gratitude, generosity. So if we make generosity and gratitude a fun new habit, we begin to live with an open heart and we begin to experience more joy in our lives. So, become intentional and look for opportunities to be generous. If you just slow down for a second, just listening to someone who's in trouble share their story with an open heart is a great opportunity. It doesn't have to be money. That's a great opportunity. Just sharing your time and your heart and your ears to listen right now, maybe to call someone you haven't spoken to in a while, just tell them that you love them. There's infinite opportunities during the day to be kind. And so become intentional and look for ways to be generous with your heart, your money, your contributions, if you want to do financial contributions. All of these things are great opportunities to share in the abundance of our planet. And I think I'll share again, one of my favorite stories of my life is I was going on a subway one day. I was traveling across from one side of Manhattan to the other, and there was a big homeless guy sitting there in kind of tattered clothes. He didn't smell particularly good. He looked like a typical homeless African-American man on the street. And he was hungry, and he was talking to him, and he was actually telling a story that he'd just gotten out of the psychiatric ward of the hospital, which got people's attention, you can imagine. And he was saying how much he really he knew that it was kind of sad. It was heartbreaking. He knew he was wearing kind of ugly clothes, and he looked a little disheveled, and he was scared people, but he didn't have a lot of choices, and he was just hungry. And I asked him, because he was sitting right in front of me, and I asked him if he could have anything he wanted to eat, what would that be? And he said he'd love a hamburger. I said, well, come on, we're going to go get you a hamburger. So we got to talking, and we shared the train over across town and down to Penn Station, and we went to the Shake Shack, and I bought him a hamburger, a cheeseburger, whatever he wanted, French fries and stuff. And he was so grateful, and we had such a wonderful conversation. His name was Maxim, and I'll never forget that day where we shared something deep. We connected at a very deep level. And it was more about another human being, seeing and hearing him and caring for him. And that was an opportunity to be generous. And it changed me. It probably did more for me than it did for him. So look for opportunities to be generous with yourself. And finding solitude in your sanctuary. You know, as you begin to create, you'll look for solitude in your sanctuary. And we're going to talk about one of the ways we find solitude is what we do here every day. We meditate, and we come together with a noonday meditation and contemplative prayer power hour. And that's a way to find solitude in your sanctuary. This is how we find solitude in our daily lives, as we come together here every day. Let's see here. Well, we don't have any homework today, so this is part of my class. You can take it if you like. But that's what I got for you today, as we can begin to, these are some ideas for you to, many of you probably already have these cultivated, but we can all reinforce them. I know sometimes when I wake up in the morning, I want to do something like look at my smartphone, my Facebook post, and see what's there. I try to avoid that too. So I hope that was helpful to you today. Now let's do some meditation. Anybody got any questions about what we just looked at? Any comments? Any thoughts? Any thoughts about our meditation, about what's going on in the world? For any fears that you're feeling that you'd like to just share. Sometimes just sharing something if you're afraid. I know a few weeks ago, I woke up one morning, I was just struggling. I was really having a hard time. The vultures were on the bedpost, and they were screaming at me, and God, it was just, I just felt like I was lying in molasses there of fear and anxiety and pain from all that's going on. It was just too much. I felt overwhelmed by it. So if you're ever having that, pipe in with that. And of course, you can always send me a message and you can set up a conversation. I'm here for you. What I do. Are there colors? That's a great question. Hold on, I'm gonna reset the timer in a minute. That's a great question. I want to answer that question before we go. Are there colors, images connected to your generosity project? I don't know. I mean, I have my certain colors that I have part of my brand. As you can see them in my background, this coral color. As you can see it in my logo, there's this coral in kind of a bluish color. That seems to be my theme color. But I don't know that I have any. It's really more of a theme for everything I do, is to begin to reimagine a world of generosity. We've lived in a world of fear and scarcity and doubt. Let's reimagine a world of love and joy and prosperity and generosity. So it's really about everything that I'm doing and saying is connected to this project. I just find sometimes for me having sort of a single focus around around my mission or what I'm doing every day. It really helps me to stay focused. Because I mean, like all of us, I get pulled into the drama of the current administration. I mean, the fact that 200,000 people have died because to this virus, that's heartbreaking. I mean, it's heartbreaking. And I'm really curious tonight to see. I don't watch a lot of television, but I am sure going to watch the debate tonight, because I share what I'm going to suggest tonight when you watch the debate, if you're going to watch it, is to watch it and notice how you feel. Notice how you feel when you hear Biden speaking, and notice how you feel when you hear Trump speaking. I'm not going to make any predictions, but tomorrow when we come back, remember, how did they make you feel? How did they make you feel when they were speaking? And that's to God. Reimagining is a colorful, powerful, and playful. Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm using it as my theme. Reimagining. Generosity is a colorful, powerful, and playful world. So thank you. Yeah, I agree with that. And I welcome you to make it your theme. I mean, that's the idea, is we can all reimagine. That's why we're here together. We're all reimagining. So please contribute your images, your thoughts, your colors that are symbolic of that. And let's just create a movement of reimagining generosity. Yeah, you're going to watch the debate. Yeah, I care about the country. I care about what's going on. I don't want to be filtered to the news. I want to watch them in action, in live action, and then see how it makes me feel. So, yeah, let's do it. Let's report back tomorrow. That's our homework. Watch the debate and pay attention to what pulls you into drama and how it makes you feel. And how do you stay out of the drama? That's your homework tonight. So let's raise your arms in the air. Let's meditate. And let's feel in our fingers, feel that life force in your fingers. Sit up in your chair. Get into your body. Feel the life in your body. It is just something to celebrate right there. Just the fact that we can raise our hands, the simplest things. The simplest things is worth celebrating. Just to sit and breathe. We're going to sit and just celebrate our life. We're going to love ourselves by just sitting, getting quiet, getting still, letting go of every belief, every opinion, every story we have about ourselves and God and COVID-19 and the president. Just let them go for a moment. And as those thoughts will rise up, let them go. Thoughts will rise up and let them go. And you're going to hear bells throughout. There's 4. They're called interval bells. And the purpose of those bells, and I want to add to it, is to wake us up from our thought trances. Sometimes people complain, say, "Oh, you woke me up." I said, "No, I didn't really." That was the point. Meditation is waking up to who we are. So we go into a thought trance, and we're not really meditating, which we're entertaining. We're entertaining ourselves, actually. Because we got bored, the ego got bored with meditation, so it decided to find a thought it'd like to attach to, and went crazy. That's okay. We're going to do it. We all do it. The idea, though, is to wake us up. That's why they have the bells, to let it go and come back to resetting, come back into emptiness, come back into spaciousness. Put some space around the thoughts. And just breathe. Notice any tension you might have in your belly, anywhere in your body. As you breathe and kind of scan through it. As you move inside to your interior, what's there? What are you feeling in there? Give yourself enough time to sort of move inside. See what's available, what's present right now in this moment. And actually just kind of energetically see yourself detaching from all those objects, all those thoughts, all those opinions, although just let them go. And listen. Get still and listen. Allow the bell to wake you up from any thought trance. Let it go. Don't judge it. We all do it. Just let it go and reset and fall back into emptiness. Fall back into the space around the thought. Allow the bell to wake you up. Reset, fall back. Be still and listen. Wake up. Let go. Fall back. Listen. Wow. Sitting here in the rain, the gentle sound of that rain was just so peaceful. Sometimes almost too peaceful, as I would find myself jerking because I think I was falling asleep perhaps, but because it was so calming and so peaceful, I sat and listened to the rain. How was your experience with that meditation? How are you feeling right now? Able to create a little space between your thoughts? So, anybody got any comments today? Let's see. Feeling rested. Yeah, I feel rested too. I feel like I want to go have some lunch and take a little nap. I'm going to be I'm going to be recording some webinars this afternoon, so I'm excited about it. I like doing that. It's kind of fun. Soothes the mind. Yeah, it does soothe the mind. The mind gets anxious and restless. And meditation is a way we calm it down with intention to calm it down, to resolve, because it's the mind gets caught up in drama and conflicts in the world, and that's why we do this. And it works. That's what's so amazing about these contemplative practices and these spiritual solutions and truth, is that they work. And putting some space around everything gives it some possibility. I love that idea of reimagining, what you said, Mindy, earlier. And the fact that it's such a powerful, colorful world, particularly when we put some space around it and reimagine generosity, reimagine a new world with more space around things. Space to create, space to love, space to be with our family, space to be with our loved ones. And I think that's particularly powerful as we create a new economic system where everyone gets a chance to spend time, have space around their work life, to spend time with the loved ones and their families. And to build economic systems and social structures that respect and love that, and make that as valuable as anything, is to create more space in our lives. And that's generosity. We'll see you tomorrow. And I want to hear about come back with, how did you feel when you heard the debates? How did different people, when they spoke, how did it make you feel? Pay attention. Pay attention. So, if nothing else for today, let love and prosperity prevail. I love you so much, and I'm so glad you're here, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow after these wild debates tonight. Much love.